Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so
Okay, let's welcome Group 7.
give me a applause. Thank you. So let's start. Good evening, everyone. We are Group 7. Today our topic is connotation and standpoint in news media. But what is connotation? As we all know, in news media, the accuracy and literacy in news media is critical. And the next page. As for denotation versus connotation, denotation is the definition on dictionary. It is formal. The definition everyone knows. However, connotation, as you can see, it is a feeling or idea that is suggested. It means that it involves the emotional criteria, like how you feel. For the same word, like 韩国语, some people will have negative response, and some people will instantly have the preference or positive response. As this is referred to connotation, it is connect, how you feel. And as you can see, from connotation you can know one's agenda, how they feel inside, their preference, their liking, their not liking it, the subjective, objective, and positive or negative view of each word. As in media, we commanded or we require, the requirement is for media to be objective. And this is what Taiwan lacks of, and this is why we choose by this topic. And so, here's our procedure. We choose the same event, same incident, and the same date of issue, same date, but from the different news agency. What's the event? The Panasonic sent some component shipments to Huawei. It means that the Japanese company, Panasonic, stopped the shipment of some parts, the ingredients, the elements to make big stuff like computer. The shipment to Huawei. The hidden meaning of it is that by Panasonic stopping it, banning it from the shipment, it might compromise or take side of the US side rather than Huawei's Chinese side. And the date of issue is 2019, May 23rd. And the different news agency we choose from the BBC, The Guardian, Reuters, CNBC, and of course the South China Morning Post. As you can see, the three from the top is from the English company, and CNBC is an American one. The last one is South China Morning Post. The reason we choose it is because it is the major, largest company of one of the Chinese fundament company of news agency, because they have their own domestic. Most of it is from most of the agencies provided to the domestic area. So there are few choices. So this is Huawei. As you can see, they made cell phone, computer, electronic devices, and recently they have the great influence on the 5G, the trend. Okay, as you can see. So this is the 5 news media we choose. BBC from English, American, English, and China. These are their logos. Remember, they are major companies. Okay. So how do we apply in Python? First, we choose the trigger words. Like we want to know the connotation link between them. So the first, we find the total rate of trigger words. Like by counting each word, we might know their standpoint or agenda or preference, and the occurrence of the word in the article. And finally, how do we analyze of those, or who will be the judgment of it? We put it back to the website to censor the objective or neutral or hatred or positive, negative words, sentiment analysis, and finally, the referring nation. So first, the total rate of trigger words. We choose Huawei, company names referring to the article, Panasonic, ban, suspend, Trump, of course, people love Trump, always, and restrictions and shipments. As you can see, From the Reuters, Guardian, BBC, they are quite the same amount. However, in South China, the Chinese company, they use a lot of same word in Huawei and Panasonic. And as for the Trump, it is opposite to what we anticipated. Like it is from the BBC News. They focus on the American president. However, in CNBC, it appeared for 0 time, which means that most of the Americans won't talk about Trump that much. Actually, it is other countries' business or their interest to know what the American president thinks. Also, we find the list. Okay, this is our Python. The word we typed. So first, Reuters. Also, by looking into the occurrency, we can view as it is quite equal of the time. This is Reuters. Next, The Guardian, Huawei a lot of times, and Panasonic only in the front, and Ben. And the final is referring back to the American. The next. BBC News, Huawei, Panasonic as usual, it is quite the same amount, but with 0 shipments. Refer to the nation of the rally of the nation most, the content. And this is CNBC. Also, put it in the back. This is for the analysis. And finally, the South China Post. As you can see, they use little words and no restriction. They want to avoid the negative of their own country, and they emphasizes on the company. And because they need to build the recognition and preference of the each big company, the label, to recognition of the name value. And as for the sentiment analysis, actually, it's quite cute. All of it is quite neutral. We put it back to the classification from the internet. Sentiment analysis with Python, NLTK, natural language, toolkit text, the classification to know their agenda or preference. The first one is Reuters. As we can see, the text is neutral. And for the Guardian is neutral as well. BBC, neutral. CNBC, neutral. Quite good. South China, out of the blue, is neutral as well. Then, how do we differentiate the preferences? Actually, besides the preference, they are neutral. It means that they are good agency that stands on them from international to international. But the next one is the occurrency of the referring nation. The nation stand on their viewpoint, and so this is the place where the vision divide. As you can see, we choose different words like Japan, Japanese, UK, British, and Britain, and there are some difficulties we encounter. As you can see, if you put in the Python, you can only analyze for each exact word. However, in the actual textbook, there are like the ownership like Japan, Japanese, UK, or United Kingdom, or British, or Britain. So it makes it hard to analyze. You need to multiply, add all the numbers together. As you can see, only the South China Post emphasize on the nation the most. Also, from the next page, it is the China, Chinese, and US, American. It is a lot of time in the little texts. And this is the part we know and acknowledge the viewpoint division from each other country. And by these, the number of time, we can know maybe there are so many countries in the text. So maybe this text is covering the net. We know that it is from South China Post, right? And this is where we insight or delve into the problem. And so by the Python, we can analyze the insights, the agenda, the preference, or how the media wants to manipulate the people by referring the names multiple of times, or the nation, or building the company reputation. It is quite important. Also from the standpoint, like if we put, although all of the nations are quite neutral, right? But if you put in Chinese, like Taiwanese news, if we like scroll down the channel, like if you put in Chinese 中天新闻, that are 韩国语, or like the South China Post, a lot of time, and that's the place we find one's division by analyze and acknowledge, or finding the details of each word. We can analyze not only the agenda of the big company corporation, but also one person. Like it is a female perspective, male perspective, or the nationality, or like your how you refer, like in the president speech of 大陆中国, the trigger words. It is the important is to differentiate both of all of the words. Okay, so okay, thank you very much. This is our project. Do you have any questions?
So let's welcome Group 6.
Good evening, everyone. We are Group 6. I am Wendy. My members are Wanda, Amber, Alice, Eunice, Ting. Our presentation topic for today is Pride and Prejudice, the analysis of emotion and character. This is our overview. I'm going to talk about introduction and conclusion, and Wanda will talk about analysis of emotion of Pride and Prejudice. And Amber and Eunice will talk about analysis of character in the two events. Why we choose this topic? Actually, we read it in the literature class, and we spent many time read it, and we are interested in this novel and try to analyze it to know the generate statement for the Pride and Prejudice and character. There are 16 chapter in this novel. It was difficult to read every word to find the frequent words in every chapter. So we use the Python to help us show the words that appear a lot. We find the frequency of the word relate to emotion, and we use the vocal and lexical description plot to finish it, and we expand the resolution with a lot of romantic designs word by know the book as a romantic comment and know the change of the character emotion. Next will come.
I will show you the analysis of emotion by word cloud. And this, we divided our chapters into like 61 chapters. Then these are from chapter 1 to chapter 5. Then we show the word cloud shows the most frequent word. Like the first one. Because as Wendy mentioned, we are analyze the emotional words, and the first one is like the most frequent word is dear, and we excluded some words such as must and some name, some conjunctive or adverb or verb, and the first one. The second one is like basic acquaintance. The third one, chapter 3, is like sisters and dance and handsome. And chapter 4 is good, miss and sister. And the yellow part is we highlight because we think for total word count, we think that they appear the most. Then these are from chapter 6 to chapter 10. As you can see from chapter 6 to chapter 10, the words that appear are about the same, like miss, mother, sister, sister, miss, country, something like that. Next page. Then this is from chapter 11 to chapter 15. Then the same, miss, daughters, young lady, good. Then these are from 16 to chapter 16 to chapter 20. Then chapter 16, the first one is just pride, father, and manner. Then chapter 18 is sister, the same. Then chapter 20, daughter. So these are from chapter 21 to chapter 25. As you can see, the word like hope is more positive words. Happiness and happiness. Then these are from chapter 26 to chapter 30. The same, daughter, that appear a lot. Then chapter 31 to chapter 35, the positive word like hope, it appears a lot, so we highlight it. These are from chapter 36 to chapter 40. Then words like daughter, sister, which are related to family bond. Then chapter 41 to chapter 45. Words like good, positive words like sister, like house, like family words. And these are from chapter 46 to chapter 50. Words like hope, positive words, family, dear, more feminine words, like daughter. Then these are from chapter 51 to chapter 55. Then the words are the same again, sister, like sister, happy. Then chapter 56 to chapter 60, like miss, dear, love, and love. Then this is chapter 61. The result we got is this is a novel with a feminine perspective because they use the words like dear, sister, miss. The words were used by female, and it's a novel about family bond because the words appears a lot related to the words like sister, like daughter, husband, and husband. And this is like as we expected. It is a romantic novel because the words like dear, like miss, like love, more romantic words. And the novel is has positive emotion and affection, words like hope and happiness. Then, according to the picture, we use the words that appears a lot, as I mentioned, like dear, sister, love, hope, and happiness. And we can see the sister instead of like brother or husband. Sister appears a lot, which means it's like a sisterhood instead of like brotherhood. And to contrast, we use the word like sad, and it only appears 4 times in the whole novel. So we can see the novel is more positive novel. And we use the lexical dispersion plot, and it shows the words the same above from dear to happiness. It appears a lot in this novel. However, it like brother, dislike, son, and hate, it shows not that much as the words above. So we can see that this novel, as we expected, is more positive and more like more feminine perspective. Next one, we welcome Amber.
Hi, I'm Amber. I'm going to discuss the characters of Pride and Prejudice. First of all, I found the words that appear the most like conditional figures, like this, and then use the dispersion plot to show lots, like this one, and as we can see, the word Elizabeth appears the most, so we can know that Elizabeth is a crook among the old characters. Next, in the novel, there are many scenes that have Darcy and Elizabeth appear. So we decided to use these two characters in two scenes to present our analysis. One scene is when Darcy shows his feeling to Elizabeth. The other one is when they both show their feelings to each other. Then we can see the difference through our analysis. Like I just said, we choose two scenes. One scene is when Darcy shows his feeling to Elizabeth and was rejected. We will call it rejected. And the other one is when they both show their feelings to each other and decided to book a wedding. We will call it married. This part is in chapter 58 of the novel. In addition, I also analyzed the words that brought to each other in two scenes, like the picture. When Darcy was rejected by Elizabeth for the first time, like this. And his statement performance was negative, which means that he had said negative words to Elizabeth. We did the statement analysis by using the website introduced in class. So we are not 100% sure that the words used in dialogue are impertinent or not. Maybe there are many intensive words are used. Hence, the result showed Darcy's words as negative forms. Next, my partner will introduce two scenes and analyze the characters' dialogues.
Okay, so as what we mentioned before, this is we actually analyzed two scenes in the book, which is Pride and Prejudice. And the first scene we are going to analyze as a rejected scene, which the main characters is Elizabeth and also Darcy. Okay, and as we can see on the diagram as Elizabeth is the main character and also the main protagonist in this chapter, which is chapter 34. And based on the based on the analysis, we actually get the result that the rejected scene is in a positive way. However, we found out that this is not a really accurate
accurate result if we analyze the sentiment analysis with the word cloud, because when we are producing the word cloud, the words they project is actually the words which is frequently used in the text. However, the feelings and also the emotions of the characters are not accurately shown in the word cloud. And therefore we found out that this is actually a bug for the oh, okay. It's a bug. So for the Prejudice scene, we can see that Darcy is actually in a negative emotion because he tends to propose to Elizabeth, and he got rejected by Elizabeth because they have some kind of misunderstanding, and also Elizabeth. However, we can see that in this diagram, Elizabeth's analysis is shown as positive, but actually Elizabeth is in a very angry mood. So we can notice that the analysis is actually not that accurate if we do it based on the word cloud. So I suggest that we should do the sentiment analysis based on the actual text, if possible. And for the marriage scene, I think this is a more accurate sentiment analysis, because the result shown and the whole chapter is actually positive. And according to Darcy and Elizabeth's confession, Darcy has actually confessed that he actually helped Elizabeth and her family to help Lizzie, the little sister of Elizabeth's house, for planning the wedding. And Elizabeth, with the emotions of thankfulness and also grateful, she shows her positive emotions, and from this diagram we can prove this by the word sake, believe, and also greater assure. For the Elizabeth's part, it is most obvious word is the latter, because Elizabeth realized what Darcy did to her family through a letter. So the letter is being brought out a lot of times during their conversation. And for Darcy part, he also shows that he's in a positive way, because he say that he believes they are having a good future, and also there is hope, and also indeed it means that Darcy is making promises to Elizabeth and her family. So in conclusion for our part, the Prejudice and the marriage scenes we took the dialogues of Darcy and also Elizabeth and make a comparison, and the result shows that they are both actually in a very positive way, even though there are some confusions and also some bad things happen in between.
We use the Python analyze Pride and Prejudice. Python is a convenient tool that us can analyze easily. Like we create workout, but by Python, but we just type one program and it can appear all and clean information. Although Python can completely replace read whole novel, but Python can help us quickly analyze. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay, let's welcome group 5.
So good evening everyone, we are group 5. And today our topic is the Chinese style of Vincent Fang, 方文山笔下的中国风. So today we choose Vincent Fang from his 6th song, and we will analyze his song and his lyrics, why so have Chinese style. So next. And this is our outline, and the first I will introduce who is Vincent Fang and short introduce from him, and Janet will introduce analyze for our Python process, and also Cherfields will introduce results and the discussion, also conclusion, and we have 5 questions for our classmates. So next, who is Vincent Fang? I think most of people know who is he, right? Because we often hear about his song like 菊花台. Yes, sorry. Sorry. 青花瓷. So I think he is very influenced for Taiwan popular music platforms. Yeah. And so he is a famous composer in Taiwan, and he creates many beautiful songs in Taiwan. And when he was child, he loved to read town poetry or song poetry. So I think he is why he loved to Chinese style to. He liked to use traditional elements and popular element to combine together from his song and his lyrics. And next, and he also have published a Chinese style word games in lyrics has swept the book markets, and so he have met sorry. Yeah, and I think in Chinese literature, the ancients create many beautiful poems. So he used those poems to create new song from his song. And so today we will explore how the Vincent Fang carefully select and the touching passage, and also we will explore the secret of Vincent Fang behind his lyrics. And the next channel will introduce more detail about our topic.
Hello, I'm Janet, and I'm going to introduce the motivation. And here we have 3, and the first one is familiarity. I think, as Richard mentioned before, everyone has known Vincent Fang because he is famous, and that's why we want to analyze his songs. And the second is similarity of Chinese style keywords. We want to know that whether these keywords have a similar meaning. For example, is Vincent Fang used 天青色 to describe the sky blue, and we want to know that is other lyrics also use 天青色 to. And we want to know other lyrics also use 天青色 to say the sky blue.
And the third is meaning of Chinese poetry. Is Fang really understand the meaning of Chinese poetry so that he can write these songs? For example, like Dong Feng Po. Does Fang really have to know that songs? Does he really have to know the author, the meaning? So when he write the Dong Feng Po, the Fang also have to know whether he write this or not. And also another example is Lan Ting Xu. Does Fang really went to Lanting to write Lan Ting Xu this song? And then this is our Python process. And we import from J. And this is our TXT. And the result is over here. And after we okay. These are the keywords we have for the lyrics. And then we work. And then we select a few keywords like 烟雨、青色、悬笔, and 东风破, and to create a word cloud. And this is our word cloud, and you can see that 谁在用琵琶弹奏一曲东风破 and other 天青色的烟雨我在等你. These two words are almost 最常出现的。And later
Okay, so in the result and discussion section, we want to look further into two of the songs we have mentioned in our research. The first one is Dong Feng Po, and the original context behind this song is the poetry from Song Dynasty, which is songs, and we can see as it's very clear that the overall patterns or the structures of Vincent's version is very similar to that of the original version, and what he actually does was basically to modernize what was written in the original context, and the sadness of the departure or missing someone, as it is one of the most discussed topics throughout the history of literature world, and it's well depicted in Vincent's adaptation, just as the original one. And the smooth transition between the old Chinese and the modern Mandarin is one of the most essential elements that makes these lyrics as touching as the original one. And the second one is Vince's Falushi, and Vincent Fang got inspiration from the vice Jiang Jinjiu to come up with the name Falushi. And the first underlined part is say 打扮前是贵的尘埃是非. It's actually quoted from Huineng Das, who is one of the central figures in the early history of Chinese Chan Buddhism. 菩提本无树，明镜亦非台，本来无一物，何处惹尘埃? And this basically means there was nothing to be worried about until the speaker finds his affection or love for someone. And the second underlying part, 繁华如三千，东流水，不知取一表爱了解，此恋花生的蝶. And this has actually two inspiration. The first one is quoted. The first part is quoted from 红楼梦, in which Jia Baoyu says, 任凭若水三千，不知取一瓢饮. And the other metaphor of butterfly comes from 庄子《齐物论》, and put together they actually mean in the speaker's mind, the one he loves is so unique that nothing in this world could ever compete with her. And there are also some interesting word conversions in the chorus part, like 凄美的离别，我等待苍老的谁. And The last bridge section is like the imitation of child singing and playing, and I think this part actually gives off more nostalgia vibes to the song, which fits perfectly in the song. And these are the parts where the data collected from the Python could not cover, and we wouldn't know these things without further research for the information. And I also want to mention some of the problems we have encountered in the process of doing this research, because as we all know that JBoss cannot actually collect all the essential data we need, or sometimes, I think most of the time, it collects more data unnecessary for us, and we need to manually filter out all the unwanted information. So I think overall it makes the whole process more time consuming than without JBoss actually. Okay, so the conclusion part, Vincent Fang along with Jay Chao is considered one of the best composers in Taiwan for their creativity. And through this research, we get to know more details of how they write the lyrics or songs that contain so much Chinese characteristic. Yet the more we look into his works, the more we find it's actually not just the lyrics alone that contribute to making the songs complete. And Vincent Fang's awareness of overall atmosphere in the song and understanding the ancient Chinese context allow him to create such unique lyrics, which is not just like the typical tributes we see to great Chinese writers. And his pioneering visions and massive studies of works are what makes the songs he wrote stand out in the scene of pop music. Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's welcome Group 4.
Good evening, we are Group 4, and today we want to bring you a new understanding of Flannery O'Connor by analyzing her works. So, firstly, we would tell you our motive to select O'Connor's works as our subject, then give you a brief introduction to this writer, Flannery O'Connor. And we would carry out several analyses from different aspects and conclude by discussing the result. So firstly, let me tell you why we choose O'Connor's works and what the works are. In fact, the initial reason is pretty simple, just because we have studied O'Connor's 3 works within these 2 years. And they are the short stories, A Good Man is Hard to Find, Good Country People, and Everything That Rises Must Converge. So O'Connor has her unique writing style, and we wonder what makes her style this unusual. So that's why we want to do the analysis of this of O'Connor's works. So, and then I would like to briefly introduce Flannery O'Connor, this woman. So O'Connor is a Southern American novelist, short story writer, and essayist, who was born in 1925 and passed away in 1964. So she wrote in sardonic Southern Gothic style, which is often with regional settings, grotesque characters, and violent situations. And she put a great emphasis on moral and ethical issues. Besides, her stories are often with surprising endings. So that's why we want to do an analysis of this writer and her works. And then that's all for the first 2 parts, and then we will have Vincent and Luna give a talk on the analysis of words which O'Connor used.
Hi, I'm Luna. I would like to analyze lexical division and the word cloud and calculating. Kingdom 我不是按了。哦，有。calculating the number of occurrence of the good. First, lexical diversity or diversity of a good man is hard to find is 0.17, and good country people is 0.17, and everything like rising must converge is 0 to 2 points. Therefore, the text of everything that rise must converge is the most diverse text. And the second part is about the word cloud. First, a good man is hard to find. The author used these words because the story is talking about the family is all murdered, and there are some main characters in this story. Mother Jane Starr. the word car in the text that means let's go on holiday. Next is good country people. It's talking about Hogarth and a Bible salesman stories. Mr. Hopwell is her mother, and Mr. Freeman is her neighbor, and Joyce is her previous name. And nothing means that when she gave a Bible salesman heart, but her prosthetic was stolen. She felt that everything was gone. And last text is everything that rise must converge. The main characters are Julian, her mother, and woman. And the place happens on the bus. The word hate is the reason for the fight. The eyes is explains that Julian's mother fell to the ground at the end of the story, and he stared at his mother's face. However, Negro is the text main issue because Julian's mother discriminates against black people. Moreover, we find two same words in three texts. They are face and see. Third, the third part is calculating the number of occurrence of word good. The word good, the word good in a good man is hard to find appears 12 times. And the number of times good country people appears 19 times. And everything that rise must converge is 4 times. Later, Vincent will explain the meaning of times. This is end of my part. The next speaker is Vincent.
Hello, I'm Vincent. I would like to introduce the sentence and words associated with good. So at first I use the function of NLTK, the concordance, and similar to analyze the function of good and its related words. And the research shows that the good words are usually associated with man and woman, and its related word is young, fat, beautiful, and finer. And the author in this text, the author used many good men or good women. However, the content is tragedy and miserable. And then the good country people. The good country people of the function is usually associated with country people and times, and its related word is real, soon, nice, elegant, thin, and tender. And as you can see, the good country people have appeared 6 times in the content, and the author it let readers feel like notice this topic and question about the definition of this word good. So the author is trying to comment good country people may not be as good as them see. And then everything that rises must converge. And the good usually associated with looking and families or generation, and there's no related words. And at that time, the traditional white solid are better than black, and so the conflict between old and young generation is led to judge good people or bad people are based on different looking families or appearance or not. And the second part is distribution words of the title. And so I use the dispersion plot to analyze the title word appeared in which paragraph, and you can see that they also use many good and man is focused on these two words, and it only use the hard and this word appeared used in the front middle paragraph. And the good country people, you can see they also use many good country and people, but however the country this word didn't appear in the region 6,000 to 9,000. Yes. And everything there rice is not converge. You can see everything rice converge. However, they also didn't use converge this word in the contents. And the adjectives in the title. So they are good and hard. You can see that we also have used good and hard in all the three contexts. And main country, people, everything. You can only see like everything that rises mark convert is didn't mention about the country. And the verbs in the title is there are 5 rise and converge. And you also can see they also use 5 in the street context, but however the research show that the author seldom already use converge this word. And the next part is Donald. He would like to introduce the company uses words.
Hi, I'm Donald. So in this section, I will introduce the company use words that in these 3 texts. And I will introduce how we do this analysis. So first, we find out the most commonly used words in each text, and find out the same words which are used in all 3 texts, and select 3 words which appears many times, and compare the usage of these words. So first, we find out the keywords from each text.
Running into the story through the paragraphs. Good country people, which the main actress of the story is not a good country people. She is hypocrite. In everything that rises must converge, the word ugliness is used in the main actor. Satirize his mother's ugly head. Actually, this means that the main actor discussed his mother's behavior. So the other is extended to using metaphors and satiric writing style on the issue of racial discrimination. And sentiment analysis is the process of determining whether a piece of writing is positive, negative, or neutral. And we use the website teacher provide on Chan class to run 3 works of Flannery O'Connor. And based on my research of the 90 stories published in O'Connor's short lifetime, 9 ends in 1 or multiple violent death, and 3 in physical assaults, and 1 in arson, and 2 in theft. And this is the results we get. They are all neutral. And then Judy will do the conclusion for us.
So me again, Judy. So let me wrap up today's presentation. So here's some points which we want to point out. So firstly, everything that rises must converge has the most lexical diversity among the 3 texts which we analyzed. However, if comparing to other writers' works, it's not a pretty high number at 0.20. So we consider that O'Connor is not a story writer which uses flowery or fancy languages. And secondly, continuing the first point, even using many same words without lexical diversity, O'Connor still made her works varied since the same words are used in different situations. And the third point is the word good is used 35 times with different usages. So mostly the definition of good in the text is not the normal meaning which we think. So we think O'Connor was trying to discuss the exact meaning of this word, good. And the fourth one, the words in the titles of A Good Man is Hard to Find and Good Country People are closely related to the text. So, which means the word which appear in the title also appear in the text frequently. So as a result, we think O'Connor tends to make her titles more clear and easy to understand. And the last one is the 3 works are all neutral. Since that O'Connor did not use strong or emotional words to show her negative or positive attitudes, she really shaped her characters with let me think, which by describing their personalities, and instead she just narrated the story and told what happened and left the judgment to the readers. So we can judge or we can think whether the characters are good or bad or anything you think. So this is why we think O'Connor's works are so popular and special still today. And that's all for our presentation. Thank you for your attention, and then our work cited. Thank you.
Okay, good. Good. Okay, let's welcome Group 3.
I'm greeting everyone our Group 3, and today our topic is the progress of Taiwan in the world, same-sex marriage. So this is our online, and I will go through introduction, and Zoe will be social linguistics, and word usages by Candy, and date point by Dan, and final conclusion will be English. So the first is introduction. So we know that same-sex marriage legalized in Taiwan, and Taiwan is also the first in Asia. So you can see this picture about same-sex marriage in Taiwan. So, however, this even that many newspapers report our countries and make us to be famous in the world. So we take USA and UK to newspaper to analysis. Okay, so this is our production, have word frequencies and word cloud. And this is our word cloud. And this is our production. So, and that's my group member will use this word and okay. So, the next my group member will use this word and those news about same-sex marriage, which we choose to analyze. And those words we can know the point of view in CK and USK. And this is our word frequencies. And this is our production. So in this word, my member will analysis about social linguistics will usage between CK and USK. So the standpoint and give a broad conclusion. And this is the end of my part. Let's welcome Zoe to social linguistics.
Hello, I'm Zoe. I will introduce social linguistics. Through Gloria's report, you can see our word cloud and word frequency, almost about marriage and same-sex and rainbow and many words. Then it is social linguistics. In this news, I find some words about social linguistics, so I select these 3 parts to analyze: jargon, slang, and euphemism. And why they are not taboo? Because these are news and they won't appear aggressive or emotional words to report. The first one is jargon. LGBTQ is our main character in our news. And L is lesbian, and G is gay, B bisexual, T is transgender, and Q is queer. And the second one is DPP. And this is also our main character in our news. And because same-sex marriage is legalized by DPP. And the second one is slang. And judgment is death by hanging. But in this news, isn't the same meaning. And the other meaning is to continue something or to launch something. And second, make out, kiss someone passionately. And the last one is euphemism. Just as I mentioned, this news will not appear aggressive or emotional words, and their words usage will be objective and professional. So, in this news, we always can see homosexual and heterosexual. And this is the end of my part, and let's welcome Candy. She will introduce word usage between UK and USA.
Hi, I'm Candy, and now I'm going to talk about the part of word usage between British English and American English. First, all of our information are collected from the articles in The Guardian, which is a British daily newspaper, and CNN, an American news-based paid television channel. Thus, in these articles, their usage of words are different as well. We all know that because of culture and history, there are three main kinds of differences between British English and American English. They are the pronunciations of the words, the spelling of the words, and the usage of vocabularies. Thus, we provide you some of the common words may show up in the newspaper that are different in British English and American English. And the first part are based on lexicon. When they talk about the extended period of leisure and recreation, especially that when people spend away from home or in traveling. In British English, they will use the word holidays. However, in American English, they will use the word vacation more because such as winter vacation and summer vacation. And for the second pair of words, garden usually is a piece of land next to your house that you can grow flowers, vegetables, plants, and often with grass. And in American English, usually we only use garden to grow flowers or vegetables. And the second part is about the word spelling. And you can see that when the vocabularies are in the same meaning, there are different spellings. Like in British English, when we spell the word center, the end of their words are different. And
in the third column, you also can see that we usually spell the word legalized with the end of ZE, and in British English, the end of the words are SE. And there are also some common words that may show in the newspaper. So we provide these words for you for your reference to get the idea. And next part will be the standpoint, which will represent by Diane. Let's welcome her.
Good evening, I'm Diane. I will show you the different standpoints, and I will show you different standpoints between different news. There are two parts, and we analyze the word usage of country and city to judge the different news side of Taiwan. In the world, there are some countries didn't want to admit that Taiwan is an independent country. So we use word lists to find some target word to calculate we are a country or a city. At first, we can see the word frequency of every text. Most of news use country to treat as Taiwan. And we put the two words into chart. The Y line is frequency and X line is name of text. And the second, the news CNN in May 17th is use country more often. And it's about Taiwan legalized same-sex marriage in historical first for Asia. It mentioned a lot of ideas such as Taiwan legalized same-sex marriage and become the first place in Asia to pass same-sex marriage legalization. The most important is that it doesn't use city to name Taiwan. We can ensure the standpoint of politics. In the past, most of news use the country to mention Taiwan, but in the second times it will change to Taipei City. Next page, we add the word Taiwan in chart. It's obvious to watch the different usage. The frequency of Taiwan is more than country and city. Some of those news are talking about the process of striving the equal rights in Taiwan, and the others about celebrating the same-sex marriage legalization. We want to analyze the news is positive or negative, but the news word usage is natural, so we choose the words such as marriage, rights, and sense to analyze. Within that, those words are related to the marriage equality closely. For the first reason, to cause the great differences of word usage in news in the type point. Some news post before the same-sex marriage legalization and the other do after. The most usage of the three words in the news CNN in May 25th, the text mentioned about Taiwan has the first same-sex wedding in Asia after years of debate. It is also the most neutral in those news. It is about the same-sex marriage legalization and same-sex marriage in Taiwan. When reporter interviews the LGBTQs, they are exciting about they can marry who they want. To sum up, based on these news, so we can find any emotion and aggressive words in them. But we find that there is an increasing number of countries who admit Taiwan is a country. And this is our code. It's all of my part. Next is English. We will show you our conclusion.
Good evening, I'm Ingrid. Now I'm going to summarize our outcome. First, we use the word cloud to find the keywords in this news, and next we use the word frequency to we use the word frequency, and after fill the function words, we found the top 3 words are the same in the British and American news. And we find differences between British and American news because the differences is British focus on the same-sex drive in Taiwan, but American they care about the relationship between China and Taiwan because their text, their news mention Chinese and China. And then we list all the words to find and compare the word usage and find the jargon words. And then we use 2 groups of target words, the city or country and the same-sex marriage, and right to find out the in British news, Taiwan is referred to a country because they mention that Taiwan became the first Asian country to legalize the same-sex marriage. Moreover, both of them mention about human rights, and there are 5 to 10 times in the reports of British news. So let's come to the conclusion. First, there is the different word usage in British and America both. And second, both we use the website of sentimental analysis. The outcome is neutral, but we think they are positive attitude to same-sex marriage because they report it. We find some news in not legalize the same-sex marriage, and we can find any reports in that country. Third, CNN may consider the relationship between Taiwan and China, so that they may avoid using country or intend to use country when they mention Taiwan. So it might be the reason that the curve of the frequency of country or city is not stable as the response of UK. So they are different respective of Taiwan. And that's all of our representation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, okay, let's welcome Group 2.
Good evening, we're Group 2, and our topic is male and female difference in the use of sentence modifiers and tactile about happiness. So first of all, I'll give an introduction about the reason why we choose this topic and to give our hypothesis, which is based on previous research, and to give possible results, and after they will come to Python process, and lastly will come to a conclusion. So the reason why we choose this topic is because we learned in social linguistics that male and female use different words in daily conversation. So we choose both male and female's tactile transcript of the same topic, which is happiness, and to analyze the word choose frequency.
Then we can find out difference between men and women. Their thinking, words express meaning and mood. In order to find out the real definition under the words, we can explore the different usage of words between men and women. And next is about our topic, modifier. A word or phrase that limits or adds to the meaning of another word or phrase. For example, the sentence, the little girl ran quickly, the adjective little and the adverb quickly both are modifiers. Next. Modifiers. Thank you.
So we choose four speech from Tactile, and four of them all connect to female speaker and to male speaker, including happiness, food, and surprise, and there is more to life than being happy, and the price of happiness, and how to buy happiness. So from the previous research and what we have learned in social linguistics, we assume that female speakers tend to speak gently by using modifiers like perhaps, maybe, and probably. But male speakers tend to use stronger words like certainly, of course, and definitely. So we choose four of them to apply in our project and to find out is this really difference between female and male. So if our assumption is true, then we can see the big difference between male and female. And if our assumption is false, then it might result from three reasons. And the first reason is that maybe our data is not big enough to show the difference. And the second reason is that what we have choose those four words is from English learners' data. Therefore, they may not reflect the way native speaker is speaking. And the third reason is that professional speaker, which are from Tactile, may have been through training to sound more neutral. So let's go into our Python process. So the first step is to import 4 files, and the second step is to import an LTK, and the third step is to find our target word, which is certainly, definitely, perhaps, and probably. And after running the graph for the target word, we found that both females and males speaker, they barely use them in the speech. So in order to dig deeply in this project, so we analyze every one of those 4 transcripts.
Good evening, everyone, and I'm Stanley, and today I will talk about the female speech. First, we can know the first result. We don't find the modifier, so we use the word cloud again. So this time we can find really is the word really appears high frequently in the source of the first female speech. And next is the second female speech. The same we put those words happiness people like these propose meanings in the start word. So we can know that she doesn't like use the modifier. So we can know not every female like use modifier in their speech. And next one is Jake.
Okay, it's my turn to introduce the first male speech by Benjamin Wallace. The topic is the price of happiness. And we used Python to find out the words he usually uses in his speech. That we can find a really lot, actually things say going couples of words here, but we find out the really and actually are the modifier which he uses a lot in his speech. And I believe the reason he used really and actually because he wants to let the audience know that happiness can be bought by buying high-priced stuff like wine or something very expensive. So he really and actually wants to let the audience know that's his purpose. Thank you.
I'm Ada, and I'm going to introduce you the second male speaker. And we use the same pattern process, and we can see that the second male speaker doesn't like to use the sentence modifier. So, we run the graph of target words really and actually, and from the chart we can see that the first four speakers use the frequency modifier of these two words used by four speakers.
I am Andrew, and I'm going to talk about the conclusion. Okay, the first conclusion is that female speakers doesn't necessarily tend to use more sentence modifier in contrast to some of the research we have learned before in social linguistics. In this analysis we do, actually, the next one, the speech difference among people is more significant than the speech difference between genders. As you can see here that the first female speaker, she uses really a lot, but she uses actually almost none. And the second female speaker also doesn't use actually, but she uses a little bit really. And the third male speaker use really and actually the same amount, and same as the fourth male speaker. Next one. And we think that we still need to analyze more language data to get the most accurate result of this social linguistic study. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Again, the teamwork. Ready?
Well.
Okay, let's welcome group 1.
Hi, we are Group 1. We are going to introduce the inauguration speech of 3 American presidents. This is our outline. We will mention motivation, main points, expectation, methods, results, and conclusion. And we will focus on the main points. Why do we want to do this topic? One of the reasons is we want to know the different meanings of words in different eras and the words between different classes. The third reason is that we want to know the different meanings of the United States, USA, and America. The last one is the needs of citizens and expectations. This is our main points. Eras, classes, the names of the country, and goals and expectations. Also, we have 3 presidents, Donald Trump, John Kennedy, and Barack Obama's their inauguration speech. For era, our expectation is to find out some words which frequently appear in a speech, then understand the background and reasons of the words. First, you can see Obama said the word freedom more. He said the word freedom more frequently. Freedom is one of the core values of Americans. Freedom also connects with equality. It means the numbers of the words can refer to an acceptance of the same-sex marriage and the importance to freedom to Obama. Second, you can see the data of the words peace and war. It means Obama is more sensitive than the other presidents about the war and peace. Like he ended the war of Iraq in 2010. Also, the results of data can assume that the number of war is becoming less in the modern era.
Okay, next one is, as you can see, the crisis. I want to know what is the most important issue during every period, and the president mentioned and emphasized many times in the speech. And you can see the number one is Kennedy, 0, and number two is Obama, 4. And the last one is Trump. And the most Obama has 4 times, and because we all know crises are everyone, but finance crisis and the impact of war crisis is also a terrible problem. Therefore, how to appease citizens becomes a central problem to president. This picture is about the words man and woman, and Trump man too and woman, and Kennedy is very special because man 10 times and woman 0, and Obama is very average, and Obama is 3 and 2, and at 19th century the power of woman is very humble. They have no voting rights. With the rise of women's rights and democracy, citizens and even the president are paying more and more attention to the status of women in the United States from 20th century. And okay, this one. Can you look at this script? And I say it out again. 在那个女性不能发出声音的时代。在那个剥夺女性希望的时代，他看着他们站起来，大声说出来自己的想法，投出自己的选票。是的，我们可以。而在这一年，在这次选举中，他的手指触摸到屏幕，他投出自己的一票。因为在美国经历106年的变迁，经历最好的与坏的时代后，他了解美国是如何变化的。是的，我们可以。Oh. So it means that Obama is the great president.
So this is from Obama.
Yes.
But why don't you use the English version?
Oh, because I just find the Chinese version. Yes. This from Wikipedia.
And you have his in the NLTK. It's okay.
Next, Julian.
Good evening, I'm Julian, and I will introduce the words that the 3 presidents which present different classes. And pledge. And you can see a picture in here that in Obama's and Trump's data are almost equal to 0 here and here. And however, in Kennedy's data shows up to 7 times that he has mentioned in the speech. And it can tell that he has more political tone because pledge is a word that means serious or formal promise. And the second word. Sorry. And the second word, us. We get the result in times of Trump's data in 2 times and Kennedy's data in 12 and Obama's in 23, and which makes big difference to Kennedy's and Obama's. And so Obama mentioned us makes a connect between he and the citizens, and we can get a result that in his speech which makes him more close to citizens than Kennedy's and Trump's. Next. And you can see there are 5 words: factories, dream, right, job, and wealth. And these 5 words are similar to business. And in the result shows up all the data of Trump's are higher than Kennedy's and Obama's. And so we can say that Trump's speech is more likely as a businessman who has full of profit thinking. And next is Ribbon.
Good evening, I'm Raymond. I will introduce the names of the country. And we think the speeches of American president will make many kind of words about their country. But Python shows that America is the only one word used in the speeches of three presidents. So we search how different of these words, and we found the United States, USA, and America. United States is government system of a country, and America is include the South and North America. But now America is mean the United States. The USA is abbreviation of United States America. And these are some knowledge that we find by Python. And this is the plot we found. These 3 words. Only America have a plot.
Then we put 3 speech in Python, and we try to find the most important one they mention the most. And the first one, Kennedy, the time was after World War II, so they are facing the war against the communist country. So most of his speech for Cuban Missile Crisis mentioned Soviet and nation, because Cuba was the closest communist country close to America, so they try to launch missiles to America. And the second one is Obama's speech for opposed the war in Iraq, because most of his speech are talking about the former president, the issue that former president has faced. So he mentioned oppose and war and fight. And the third one is Trump's speech about address U.S. recent development. We don't have a lot of words now in America, so most of Trump only talk about how he's going to make America great again, or how he's going to do with the economic.
And last we will have the conclusion, sort of. And
what do you mean by sort of?
Sorry, I just murmuring. Sorry. So about the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Kennedy mentioned crisis twice and war with 11 times, and speech about the war in Iraq. Obama mentioned war 3 times and economy once. And about Trump's union address, he addressed crisis in 3 times, war with 9 times, and economy with 5 times. For that, I know that Kennedy, what he hopes is world peace and without world crisis. And for Obama, he wants to increase the global influence for United States. And Trump addressed to improve U.S. economy in order to achieve his goal, make America great again. Sorry.
Python is a good tool to analyze some long texts, especially when you are too lazy to read the whole paper. It can save you more than a half time for showing a number of words, creating word clouds, and computing the most frequently occurring words. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.